It's great to see you, even though it is through online service. Today, let's think about the meaning of studying Dharma or scripture altogether. During the Cold War, Korean airline, the commercial airline was shut down by the Soviet missile, and in a split second, more than 200 people died. It raised a lot of serious diplomatic problem between Korea and Russia. They launched the missile because they said that airplane deviated from the destined path and violated the Soviet space. That's why they launched the missile. Since that airplane did not fly on the designated path, it caused a lot of problem, big disaster. Likewise, when we human beings do not walk on the proper path which we are supposed to walk, then it causes also as well a lot of problems, agonies, and stress, etc. But the thing is, regular people do not know the path exactly. They think they know, but they are not quite sure what could be that exact, precise path or shortcut that leads to complete liberation or indestructible happiness, which we all want. What is the Dharma? For example, our presider said today's Dharma talk will be given by Rev.Dosung Yoo. Do you know what Dharma means exactly? Matt, do you know what Dharma means? Dharma has a lot of meaning. I heard it's still used world in India. Cosmic law, universal principle. But in the Buddhist context, when we say Dharma, it's used in a very narrower sense. It's the teaching of the Buddha, teaching of the realized teachers. That's what Dharma means. When Jesus say, I'm the way, I'm the truth, I'm the life, I'm the way, it is the path that we can lead to indestructible happiness or freedom. So, the Buddha's teaching is the path. Is the path that we are supposed to walk if we would like to reach to our common destination, complete liberation or freedom. Particularly, Buddha Dharma or whatever teaching that's taught by the saints and the sages are condensed into scripture. Scriptures are the condensed form of Dharma, which is just like a manual we can use easily. When you visit some Buddhist monastery in China or Korea, you can see at the courtyard a outdoor stone lantern. Usually that stone lantern has two lion images. Two lions holds up their front paw and hold some crystal ball. That crystal ball symbolizes our Buddhahood or nirvana. two lion images represent two paths to reach nirvana. One is the path of study, Dharma study. The another path is the path of practice. For example, when you go to the drive to Washington, D.C., you need a navigator or map. That's like Dharma. Seeing the map all day long will not reach you to Washington, D.C. You have to actually drive your vehicle. That's like a practice. So both are important. One Korean Buddhist master, Ki Hwa, in the 14th century, said in this way, an understanding that does not have a practice is empty. A practice that does not have understanding will be obstructed. So both the paths are as important as the other. Our second Hedda Dharma master moved to the western part of Korea in order to meet our founding master. His father was Song Jeokbyung. At the time he was already very old, probably in his late 50s or 60s. Song Jeokbyung. He had a very hasty and rushing mind. I'm already old. I have to attain great enlightenment in this lifetime. And he spent a lot of time on meditation cushion in order to meditate very seriously. He was very much focused and dedicated. But because of his rushing mind, his hasty mindset, the thing was he could not settle down his mind and energy easily. On the contrary, when he practiced sitting meditation, the fire energy has ascended and he experienced a lot of headache. Later he could not practice sitting meditation anymore. I heard my teacher, who really met that Mr. Song, even in the winter time, his head was swollen because of the arising energy. He dipped his head in the cold water in order to cool down his head. So, seeing that, our founding master said in this way, if you don't know the path, then you may easily condemn yourself to an entire life of a hardship by suffering unnecessary illness. You must be extremely careful about this. So practice is like driving a car. What I like to say is we first know the path. We first have to study the map. When I say practice, spiritual practice, it's the translated word for 공부. But our founding master said 공부 or 공부길 at the same time. It's almost a synonym. 공부 is a spiritual practice. 공부길. 길 means the path. So he often said to his followers, did you discover the path to practice? 공부길, the path to practice. There is a Chinese saying, before a saint is born, the way is in the heaven. means the realm of a universal truth. When the saint comes to the world, the way resides with the saint. When the saint passes away, the way is in the scripture. The way is in the scripture. When Buddha passes away. But you think about it. When you go to some restaurant, Applebee, and you ordered a steak, then that particular restaurant give you on the table a raw meat and the raw carrot and the onion and the not steamed potato or rice. Would you go that Applebee? What we need already cooked meal, that we can just eat that food, not the heap of food ingredient. The world, the meaning Dharma, the universal truth is so broad, so it needs to be condensed, just like already cooked meal. That's the scripture. Just like Einstein condensed the universal principle that he discovered by the very simple formula, E equals mc squared, or the universal truth. Particularly in the direction how we can utilize to enrich our life. Life is condensed in the scripture. Humans, what people are worried, concerned is almost the same. Whether they are Caucasian, Asian, or people who lived 1,000 years ago, or people live in contemporary society. We are worried about financial thing or relational problem. We are worried because our children at the age. I heard from tour guide when I went to Cairo in Egypt many years ago. He said, on the stone, on the bottom stone of the pyramid, there is a scribble, which says, these days the younger generations are very rude. We are very worried about their idea of a sexual revolution, etc. That scribble was made more than 3,000 years. What they are worried is what we worry right now. So when you would like to have some answer over your problem, it can be related with your spiritual practice, or it can be anything that happens in your daily life. When you read carefully the scripture, the answer is always there. What you would like to ask to the Buddha, some person already asked, and our founding master gives a proper answer depending on the situation. So our third head Dharma master, Venerable Daeshan, said, the primary teacher, the first teacher is always the scripture, especially the Won Buddhist canon, the canon part. Confucius tried to find his mentor, his teacher who guided his path, but during that time he could not find any teacher in the human form. So enriching, enriching, the book of the change, Chinese classic, he considered enriching his teacher. There is a Chinese saying, 위편삼절, probably you have heard that. 위편 means 일칭. 삼절 literally means being broken 3 times. In old days, scripture was made not with the papers, but with, in China, specially processed bamboo or silk. So enriching was made with some flat bamboo covering. It was, they were bound by leather strap. Confucius read enriching so many times, so the leather strap was broken 3 times. So one of the items of mindfulness in Won Buddhism is number 3, if you have a free time, be mindful to study scriptures, which is as much as important as you're practicing sitting meditation or practicing mindfulness in your daily life. What is Dharma? I'd like to, Dharma can be compared like a mirror. When you go out, when you wash your face, then you look into the mirror in order to know whether your face is clean or not. How can we tell the choice that I make right now, or my action, my deed, what kind of consequence it will entail? Buddha said, do not trust with your own soul. Our judgment, our thinking, many times, even though you are highly educated, can be very much misleading. I experienced that a lot. Yeah. Just like we look in the mirror on a regular basis, we need to read and contemplate the words of the realized teachers in order to know, wow, this choice is a wholesome, wow, or this action leads to this or that, the consequence, etc. And the Dharma is a spiritual food, just like this body needs a food, our spirit or soul needs a spiritual nutrient. What's the ingredient? When we study and contemplate the scripture, the Dharma, we can get the nutrient like the great compassion, wisdom, focused state of mind, or peaceful state of mind, etc. Some years ago, I didn't feel well. I happened to meet one Chinese herbal doctor and acupuncturist. She's also a Western doctor degree. When she read my pulse, she not only realized all my bodily constitution, I was very amazed. She told my habit, my lifestyle, just like a prophet. She knew everything by just checking the pulse. Do you know, when you go to the doctor, some general hospital, how many medical doctors made a wrong diagnosis? The statistics shows more than, probably 3 years ago I read more than 30% of the diagnosis is very much misleading. Buddha's prescription to give some proper medicine to cure our mind. His prescription is very precise and exact. Buddha called himself Wang, literally means king of medicine. He frequently called him Pisako. This Sanskrit means great physician, Bisaku. Our founding master said, retreat center, churches, temples are hospitals to cure the illness of our mind and heart. His world is the medicine. So he said, no matter how severe illness of the body may be, their pain will last only a lifetime. Or if they are minor, they can be cured in a short period. But if the illness of the mind and heart are left untreated, they will become a seed of a transgression and the suffering through the future. So our founding master frequently said, as long as you take this medicine, it's a wonder drug, wonder medicine. 천약 means a wonder drug. When I was in regular college, my friend fell in love with his classmate who was very pretty. And in the early 80s, we didn't have email. So he sent a lot of love letter to her. And finally, he received a letter back from her. He showed that letter. Actually, that girl was very polite. There is nothing serious in that reply letter. But he imposed a lot of meaning to that. He read that repeatedly. He almost learned by heart. My teacher told me, scriptures are the love letters that's sent by Buddhas. Our parents, they or our spouse, they care about us, but they may not have the power, the wisdom, or resource to help us, even though they are willing. But the Buddhas, or the saints and the sages, has not only have the compassion, but also have the wisdom and the power to actually help us. My parents went to Daegu Won Buddhist temple for their whole life. The head minister of the Daegu Won temple was in the 90s probably, were Bumtawannim. Bumtawannim was a novice when our founding master was alive. One of the novice job was to clean our founding master's room after breakfast. When she entered the room, she told us, our founding master, especially when he wrote the Won Buddhist canon part, at the time, the Japan became involved in the Second World War II, right after the attack of the Pearl Harbor. So after 8 o'clock, we were not allowed to turn on the light. So our founding master put some screen blanket to block the window and the door. And under dim light, he wrote the Won Buddhist canon repeatedly and raised with an eraser. And the Bumtawannim discovered in the early morning, she discovered parts of bits of erasers that's left behind. So he poured a lot of time and energy for that. So as I said, two paths, Dharma study, practice, both are as much as important as the other. So in the fall, we will start online Won Buddhist canon study course. So for the detail, our presider will announce that. Thank you.